Here with famed LCS coach Curry. We're bringing you one of the coolest pieces of content I ever made. We're calling it the Curry Rewind, or I don't know what we're calling it. Curry, what do we call this?
We're still figuring it out. The rewind with Curry and dGon, the LCS big play. We'll see where it's going. We don't really know
Yeah,
yet.
just make sure you use the hashtag LCS Big Play of the Week. That'll show up there on the screen, and we will go ahead and highlight the big one. Obviously, first week of LCS kicked off, one of the most exciting weeks of the LCS we've had in years, and it led to a banger matchup between the churchgoers of Cloud9 and the evil geniuses, the Zoomers, going back and forth with a unique draft. And we're in a position here, 37 minutes in the game. Elder Dragon on. This is the LCS big play of the week. Now, the way we're going to do this is I'm going to go through it once, full speed, try to cover as much as I saw as a normal human being, a normal mere mortal. And then Curry will come back and tell me how big of an idiot I am and break down all the finer details of the fight. Ready,
Yeah.
Curry?
There's going to be a lot to review after dGon's done with it. So, yeah.
I'll get a lot. All right, here we go. So at this point of the game, 4 Drakes already stacked, Elder Dragon on the board, 37 minutes in, and we've got the picture-in-picture action happening on the LCS here. You've got split pushing Summit on Camille up against Jojo Pune Victor in the top side of the map. Victor is answering not Tryndamere, who is one of the most fed members, if not the most fed member of Evil Geniuses, because Tryndamere didn't bring TP. So no TP. So here we go. They are now jostling for mid control. You always want mid control. Berserker blows the flash by Danny, and Danny's forced to back away. And so now, meanwhile, Summit taking the top side of the map takes the inhibitor. And so now Jojo Pune has to kind of cover back and forth. They pop the blast cone, and Blabber sees an opportunity to go in, gets caught. Great lantern here by Winsome, pulling him back, not getting stuck on the chompers. Meanwhile, still pushing into the top side of the map. Now, this is where it got a little scary because Impact runs out of vision. Danny clears out the vision, and here comes a big flank on the minimap. Summit tries to go on in. Winsome gets slowed by Danny, and no one sees Impact coming on in. TP comes through, and at this moment, I thought everything was over. They all pile on into Fudge. Fudge dies, but look at Berserker, gets over the wall, buys a little bit more time, stacks up the chakrams, and a GA on Olaf gets popped. Summit comes in, is able to clean things up, and look at Berserker dish out the damage. 1, 2, 3 auto attacks. That equals 3 kills with the Aphelios. They slay it. Cloud9 win. I was freaking out on my chair. That was what I saw in that big fight. Cloud9 and LS's church going grow. All right, Curry, that was a lot to break down in our big play of the week. That's why it is our hashtag LCS big play of the week. How did I do?
You did a pretty good job, dGon, but I think there's a lot of small things that I want to go over and look over from the team fight to show how things really broke down and some of the small differences that really turned this into a deciding fight for Cloud9.
All right, let's do it. Where should we start?
So let's start with the picture-in-picture of Victor in the base against Camille. So at this point in the game, Victor is pretty far behind and Camille is really strong. Victor has to be really worried about uh, basically just getting one shot or jumped on by Camille at any point. Uh, and for him, he wants to really try to TP in this fight as soon as he can. But it's really hard to get the first base against Camille. But here, Jojo takes a really big risk by walking up to Camille to A, stop her base, and B, help him get that first recall. He has to use his flash, but actually this allows him to get the first recall over Camille. And also Camille's low on resources, so when she TPs into this fight, she's going to be low on mana. So even though he was behind, Jojo took a risk to get his team better positioned for the fight. And I think in this case, it ended up paying out, even at the cost of his flash.
All right, cool. Yeah, honestly, when I was watching it, I just thought they were wave clearing and kind of just pushing back and forth like top laners normally do. That was good.
Yeah,
Cat.
no, it was pretty interesting. But we can go and see what's happening on the other side of the map now in the 4-man while that was going on in the base.
Okay.
Uh,
So here they are, the 4-man. They're positioning around here, and this was something that was weird with Inspired and Danny just kind of getting popped up here.
Yeah, so it looked a bit strange that it seems like Inspired is just trolling. But what he's actually doing is he's prepping his Inzao Q. So he used his first Q on the plant, the second Q on the ward, and now the third Q to instantly knock out Blabber when he walks into him, which helps him like disengage this fight immediately. Just prepping your third Q on Xin Zhao, whether through hitting wards or in this case even the blast plant, is really smart from Inspired because Here he used it to disengage, but uh, in other potential opportunities, he could use it to instantly jump onto Berserker or Fudge and instantly knock them up. So really like small thing, but really interesting from Inspired how he always has that Q ready.
Yeah.
And here Blabber has to disengage immediately and get out of
Right.
there.
The chompers are there, and plus Blabber used Ghost here, so that seemed to be like a really big play. And honestly, when I was watching it live, I was like, "Oh no, this is where Cloud9 loses it. This is where Blabber throws it on accident."
Yeah, I mean it was a nice chompers from Danny, but it was good lantern from Winsome. He manages to position the lantern outside of the chompers, and Blabber gets out safely, just having to use his ghost.
Okay, so they get out safely,
Yeah.
kind of reset, Ghost use, then what?
So the important thing to look at from this fight is like it's really hard at this point for EG to win front to back. Like C9 have Aphelios, Soraka, they're just so strong in front to back. So EG need to come at multiple angles. And they actually do a really good job here. You can see that Inspired is positioning on these side flanks, where C9's vision is really centered, controlled around like this middle area of Dragon. So their pinks, their wards are on this the dot bush, the banana brush, kind of around there. Meanwhile, EG's vision is centered on the sides. So their vision is in that like bottom brush near the enemy red or in the top brush where where Inspired is. Because they're going to need to come to multiple angles in order to win this fight. And so they set themselves up really well by doing that. Not trying to contest this mid vision, keep their vision on the sides, come from multiple angles. And combined with what JoJo did in the base, they're actually setting themselves up for a really nice team fight. Because in order to win, they have to go on one of the backliner. In this case, Fudge is probably the best option just because of how strong Soraka is.
Okay, well, we saw what happened. Let's see it one more time in slower motion. They all dive onto Fudge, then what?
Yeah. So the great thing here is they find that initial engage onto Fudge, uh, but Fudge is able to buy a lot of time. So one of the big things is that earlier is that Tryndamere actually opted for Randuin instead of Infinity Edge, so he's lacking a lot of damage into this initial fight. Uh, so if we go back and look at the beginning of the fight, uh, for EG, they engage immediately onto Fudge. Fudge flashes out, uh, but he's able to buy a lot of time with his ulti to keep him and Winsub topped off. You can see the ulti heals them from like 10-20% up into like 60-70, which buys a lot of time. That's a lot of extra auto attacks that Inspired and Impact need to use to end up killing them. The other thing to notice is that Winsome actually has a really great box here that kind of like really splits up EG's engage because it kind of splits up where Impact has to run through the ulti, it slows him down. He has to use both his sums. Vulcan also gets slowed by it. Jojo, who's TPing, I mean, while his TP is good because it's first, it's actually coming kind of split from the fight. The box cuts him off even more. I think that if he had TP'd maybe on the minions on mid lane or the pink that where Inspired came from, he would be in a way better position for this fight. But his TP to start off is too far, and now this box cuts him off even more. And it really slows down EG's engage onto the backline.
Okay, so they eventually do get Fudge here, but Berserker's able to get away by time.
Yeah, so even though they're able to kill Winsome and Fudge in their initial engage, the problem is here is that Berserker is completely untouched. He had a really fantastic flash over the wall because, as you can see, like EG are so concentrated, like all five of them are right on that area. And if Berserker's in the middle of that, he's going to get killed too. So he immediately flashes to safety. And this is where the important part of like Fudge and Winsome buying time for their teammates is so important. Because here Berserker is able to keep like he hits the ward here to keep up his chakrams, and if you keep playing, now he's just able to really he's great ulti here to get more chakrams. He's autoing the minions, and now Blabber and Summit are now buying time for their team. Like they're still really strong. They have Sterix ready, and this whole time Berserker is getting ready to come back into this fight with full stacks. And here he just completely melts EG, the rest of EG. I think he uses like 4 autos and just does like 4 or 5,000 damage. Um, so honestly, just like a really great fight from C9, able to weather the initial engage, Berserker getting to safety, Fudge and Winsome buying their backline a lot of time, um, and ultimately able to just end this fight and win the game in the deciding fight. Uh,
And one thing to note here, though, is that as much as Evil Geniuses had a good flank and felt like things set up, it didn't feel like they had the resources to win the fight. Could they have played it better, Curry, or was that just kind of like what was going to happen?
I mean, there's really like honestly, in my opinion, that's the best they're gonna get. They're just too far behind on resources. Jojo's too weak. Tryndamere doesn't have the right build, even though they got the right engage. But honestly, credit to them. I think that this game is in a really hard position just from the draft at this point in the game. Like they basically used every single advantage they had to them. They got the right flanks. Jojo took the risk to get the first TP. Great engage by Vulcan to get right onto the Soraka. So for the most part, they did everything right. But I think just really clean play from Cloud9, from Fudge Winston, like I said, to buy time, and ultimately Berserker, I think, positioning almost perfectly, while his teammates bought in time to really clean up the fight, ended up being the difference maker.
All right. Well, that was an exciting hashtag LCS big play of the week for week one. Hopefully, we get more crazy drafts and more fights like this throughout the year. And of course, if you guys at home see a big play, use hashtag LCS big play of the week. Tag me at dGon, tag Curry on Twitter. Let us know what you think, and maybe your clip will be the one that we break down each and every week. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time for the hashtag LCS big play of the week. See ya.
Thanks, guys.
That was good. That was much better.
That one felt good. Yeah.
Oh, shit. Uh, uh. Oh, yeah, that's right. Because, yeah, we moved the taskbar away. I can't, when I alt tab, yeah, when I alt tab, it